Okay, hello again. This is part 3 of our orientation, and this part of the assignments, or this part of the orientation, we talk about assignments at the D2L site. Once again, this is Dr. Linick, and in this presentation we're going to ask what is within the D2L site. We're going to particularly look at the tests and the final exam, test discussions, the applied projects, the official course grade, the fact that it's there, and also some feedback on grade feedback there. Okay, as with the last presentation, we ended with this slide, and the slide on the discussions and test discussions and project, and the fact that in each unit you'll find a unit assessment activity subunit, and it contains links to tests, discussions, projects associated with that unit. Okay, so again, I've got a picture of that here. So let's talk about a little bit more of what you're going to find in there and how to go about proceeding with the tests and so forth. Okay, so this course has 4 examinations or tests. They are not cumulative. Each test pretty much goes over a part of a unit or a whole unit. Tests will be taken and proctored in D2L, the D2L course site, using Respondus Lockdown Browser with Monitor. This requires you to have a webcam and audio, that is a microphone, and a private location within your home. This should be a location that you are physically attached to your computer with a wired connection. That's the best. If you have wireless, you want to test this out really good during the test period. And what I mean by the test period, during the getting started period here. So during the getting started activities, this first week you will be required to download Respondus Lockdown Browser and test your system with a practice test. As I say here, by the way, you get 5 extra credit points for completing this practice, so that's hopefully a little bit incentive to do that. You want to make sure you watch the video on Respondus Lockdown Browser and then read the materials in this getting started area about it. And there's a sheet on, a quick start sheet on how to start downloading Lockdown Browser and then use Monitor, and again doing the sample test, practice test will let you practice those skills. Okay, tests cannot be taken in a computer lab at GHC, the library or institution, okay, because you need a private location where I can see that there's nothing around you that's going to be distracting there. Okay, if you do not have a private location for testing, you'll need to make arrangements to take this course in another format. And if your system does not meet the requirements to be able to use Lockdown Browser and Monitor, then you definitely, right during drop add, need to consider taking the course in another format. Let's talk about the test. You'll have 65 continuous minutes from the time you start the exam to complete it. Now, this does not include the startup procedure. The startup procedure lasts anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So once that startup procedure is completed, where you're going to be showing things, and we'll talk more about that in a few minutes, then your 65 minutes starts. Okay, so just be assured of that there's always going to be a webcam check, an audio check, and an ID check, and so forth. All right, so that's not part of your exam time. Okay, the test and the final exam are open book and one format / note sheet. You can only use the book that is associated with our course, and that's Thinking Mathematically, 6th edition by Blitzer. If you use the ebook, you can print off one copy of that, and I suggest that you staple those together in the startup procedure. I'll talk more about that. You can use the one-page format and note sheet for each unit. In the final exam, the format and note page will be provided to you to print out. I'll have that in the test information area. And then this is the only types of notes you can use. So besides the formulas, that sheet, you can fill up with your own notes, and then again, during the startup procedures, we'll talk about what you need to show me. All right, on the test, you can only use the TI-83 or TI-84 calculator or the equivalent. If you're unsure of if your calculator is acceptable, just send me an email and we can talk about that. Calculators on cell phones, tablets, or other equivalent devices are not permitted. Obviously, you know, a standalone TI-83 or TI-84 calculator, that's acceptable electronic device, but nothing on a cell phone or tablets or anything like that. Okay, well, let's talk about the test with Respondus Lockdown Browser. That's RLDB, and RM is Respondus Monitor. Okay, during the startup sequence of each test and the final exam, you must clearly show to the cameras some things. First of all, as I have pictured in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to have to show your Georgia Highlands College ID card or your driver's license so that your name and picture and photo are clear on that card. Okay, so you want to hold it up to the camera and see that. Next, you're going to show your textbook. As I see up here in the upper right-hand corner, I got a picture of your textbook, and you're going to kind of turn that sideways, thumb through it. Some people like to put little tabs in the textbook, like little post-it notes. That's fine. Just show me at the post-it notes. Just say, maybe here's a formula, here's something I keep forgetting. That's fine. Then you're going to show the formula or note sheet. You'll show the front side of it, the whole sheet. Like you can see the picture I have here on the left-hand side, the second picture, with the pen sitting there, and then I would flip that over and show the other side of it. You're going to show your calculator. You're going to show all sides of your scratch sheets. Okay, you get 2 scratch sheets, and you just show me side 1. I would encourage you to label them as scratch sheet 1, scratch sheet 2, and then hold them up to the camera. That helps me out. And then you're going to do a 360-degree global scan of your room. So you're going to take that camera and you're going to go all the way around your room and show me where you're at, your location, and everything. Okay, and then finally you're going to complete that by scanning the desktop. You're going to take the camera and just slowly. Now again, go slow. Don't go zip, zip, zip. You want to go slow with that. Don't worry about the time. It's fine. Again, your time does not start until you complete the startup procedure, and then it'll say start your exam, and then when it starts your exam, you'll see the red recording light going on in the upper right-hand corner of your lockdown browser screen. Okay, after you complete your test, you'll have 15 minutes to review the missed problems. And this is right after the test, so you want to plan this into your whole test study time. So I'm thinking here that you should plan each test for a 2-hour period with the startup, with the actual 65 minutes, and then with the 15 minutes afterwards to review the problems. Remember that you will need to post one of these problems that you miss in the discussion area, and so be sure to you're going to have this access this time, so that's when you're going to have to pull up that problem. Tests will be open for a period of 3 days as listed in the syllabus on the calendar. And again, it's probably, when I mean 3 days, it's not really 3 24-hour periods. It starts at 8 o'clock in the morning on the first day and closes at 9:30 at night on the second day, on the last day, excuse me, on the third day. So just keep that in mind as you're going along. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, the test discussions associated with each test will be a test discussion. Each test discussion will open to you after you have submitted your first attempt at the test. Okay, so you must take an attempt at the test before you will see the discussion open. Okay, in the test discussion, you must make an original post and reply to another student. In your original post, you must state the exact problem and why you're having difficulty with it. Okay, so that's your original post. In addition, you are to reply to the original post of at least one other student and explain the answer to his or her question. Now, this is a reply to someone else. You reply to yourself, that's not going to get you any credit. Okay, all replies after the first one must add something significantly new to the discussion. There are some examples that I've put in the syllabus, so see the syllabus. I have examples of good and bad posts there, so be sure to read over that part of the syllabus prior to the test discussions. Okay, your original post is worth 5 points, and the reply to another student is worth 10 points. Please note that if you post the same question as someone else, then you'll get no credit. Now, I've got the test set up, so I'm using a bank of questions I created, and so there should be a sufficient number of questions in there that, occasionally we'll get students who will get the same question wrong and the same exact question wrong, but typically, there should be sufficiency in the test bank that you'll probably have a different question. It might be similar but different numbers, so that's acceptable if it's got different numbers in it, but just be careful with that. Please try to use complete sentences, good grammar, and also the equation and editor with the correct symbols, and try to have your post as well organized. Some people like to do, and I think it's a good suggestion, when you see somebody else's posts, you read them and say, okay, I know how to answer that. Maybe go out to a Word document and create create the answer, and then copy and paste it in. I prefer if you use the equation editor. I'm going to say that. I kind of expect you to do that. Occasionally, those students have some problems with that, and during the startup, I'll let you practice with the equation editor. Okay, so please just feel free to try to use that equation editor. Okay, attachments in the discussion here are not acceptable. As I said, you can go out and make a Word document, copy and paste it make sure it copies and pastes, okay, into the discussion area. You're gonna have to use your alternate keys instead of just the paste. You remember it's you can hit a Control V on your computer to paste in. So, but again, do not use attachments. They're not acceptable. You will get a 0 if you put an attachment there, because it just makes it more difficult for everybody to read and more complex for everybody. And when folks start attaching things to discussions, that's not the purpose of discussion. Okay, let's talk about the final exam. Again, this course has one final exam that is cumulative. The final covers all units. You only get one attempt at the final exams as opposed to the tests, which you have 2 attempts at. The final exam will open at 8 a.m. on May 4th and be open to 11 p.m. on May 6th. On the final exam, 50% of the questions will come from Unit 5. Okay, that's a unit of statistics that we're not going to have a regular test for, so half the questions on the exam will come from Unit 5. The other half of the questions, 50% of the questions, will come from Units 1, 2, 3, and 4 combined. Okay, so just keep that in mind as you're studying. You will take the exam using Respondus Lockdown Browser with Monitor. All right, so just as you did for the test. So hopefully at that point you'll have no issues with that. You will have 2 continuous hours from the time that you start the exam to complete it. All right, so just keep that in mind as you go along. That you'll have those 2 continuous hours, and just like with the exams, with the test, the 65 continuous minutes the minutes start right when you after you do that login procedure, and it says start exam. You click start exam, your time starts. Okay, so you can't come back. However, if you should get kicked out during that 2-hour period or during the 65 minutes period, for some reason you get kicked out of the exam, go back in. You should be able to get back into the exam. Okay, as long as your time hasn't expired. Okay, let's talk about the applied projects. An important outcome of this class is that you are able to apply the concepts you learn to situations beyond the classroom. Therefore, associated with each unit, you will find an applied project. On all applied projects, you should direct or send any questions you have just to me. Okay, just your professor, nobody else. You got a question over your project, you say, hey, Dr. Linick, I've got a question. We need some clarity on this project. I'm kind of your consultant on the projects as well. However, there are certain times when you can talk to folks, and we'll talk about that in just a moment. The specific directions on each project are in the content area and the Dropbox. You can get to it, the Dropbox from the content area. Projects can only be submitted within the project Dropbox area. Projects cannot be submitted and will not be accepted by email, in person, in print, or other means, and we'll talk why that is in just a moment. The grading rubric for each project can be found in its associated Dropbox, so just keep that in mind. You can find the grading rubric ahead of time, so you can see what the standards are for that project. Okay, the applied projects give you the option of working in groups, and this is where I'm saying that you can talk to some other people, but to be clear, you can only discuss the work on the project exclusively with your group members for that project, okay, or again with me. If you choose to work individually, then you must work without help from anybody. No friends, no tutors, no relatives, nobody else who's working the project, no teachers, other teachers other than myself. Okay, and that goes with your group too. If your group has a question that you can't answer, it's exclusive groups. If Jane, Susie, and Tom are working in a group, they can't talk to Daniel out here who's not. All right, so that's because look at this as kind of a competition. Your group submits a better project than the others. You want to get your full credit for that. So anyway, what else? If you choose to work in a group, then your group will need to submit a group task assignment sheet that outlines the participation of each group member and documents the group activities. Okay, this is just to keep everybody on the up and up, and so to make sure that everybody does their work. So you will find this sheet along with the specific directions, as I mentioned before, in the content area or in the Dropbox area for that project. If you're not in the group, you don't have to worry about the sheet. All group members are responsible for submitting the project. So saying, hey, Tommy was supposed to submit that project for us, he never did, that's not going to cut it. You know, it's not a bad idea if each group member submits the project to their Dropbox. And I will take a look and you know, see, okay, don't change anything in your project. Make sure everybody's consistent, because I'll typically pick one person out of that group and print the project from their Dropbox. And so if you change something or they change something, then you know, that can make it a little bit nasty for some of the other group members. So each group member is going to submit, though, the group task assignment sheet to which they agree or disagree with the tasks that were assigned and completed by each member. So you're going to do this each individually. Some groups in the past, when I've done this, I've said, okay, we're working really well together, so we all agree with this, and so each one of them will submit it. It'll be the same sheet, but there'll be a checkbox on there saying, I disagree with these tasks, how they were assigned, and here's why. Okay, so if you disagree, then you'll have to explain why you disagree with it. And so then if there's some evidence to me that somebody isn't working in the group, then there's a potential that you'll get a little bit lower grade on that. So keep that in mind. All right. The GHC librarians may assist you in finding materials that you can use as reference on your projects. Okay, so you can go to the GHC librarians and say, hey, I need some help finding this particular item. Now, here's why this next statement, why everybody has to submit everything in the Dropbox, because all your projects are going to be going to turnitin.com, which is actually linked in through D2L. You don't have to go out to the external site. Some of you may use that in one of your English classes and you have to go out to the external site. Well, we have this now set up so you can do it in the D2L. So you submit in the Dropbox. When you submit it, you're going to say that you agree with the conditions of Turnitin. Be assured that Georgia Highlands College has a direct contract with Turnitin. So if there's anything fishy going on, let me know, and I will get in touch with our Turnitin administrator, who's actually our overall is one of our vice presidents who handles them, and I will report any issues that you are concerned about to them. Okay, on any project that is not 90% original, it will be returned for one chance to correct the content in question. Mainly what I typically find here is that if I see something that, you know, in the past what I've seen is maybe somebody forget to put a quote around something. However, occasionally I do get students who have copied another paper from somebody else, and then I'll say, wait, this is, you know, this appears to be somebody else's paper. So that will happen if the first person, if you're working in a group, the first person submits it, and then the second person submits it. The second person will get dinged and say it's 100% copied. So when I see the 100%, then I see you're working in groups, so don't panic about that. Okay, if I return it to the group, I will try to send an email to everybody saying, I did return this, here's what needs to happen. Okay, there's going to be a 6-point redo fee on all return for redo projects. Some students sometimes submit a project and it's not up to snuff, and I think, you can do better on this. And so maybe they really didn't have time to do it well, and then just having that little extra time to do it, they able to get through and still do well on that project. Okay, even with the 6-point fee. If you do not submit the redo, then your grade on the project will be a 0. Let me make sure you understand that. If I say I need to do a redo, and here's what I'd like to see you correct on that project, then you make sure you have the time to do that. The calendar dates for these are in the dates for the redos are in the calendar and also in the syllabus. Okay, so again, the grading rubric for each of the projects in the Dropbox, and see the calendar for the due dates of the projects. And I will put a news item saying, okay, project 1 is now open, so take a look at it. I do encourage you to look at those projects early. Don't wait till the week before or the day before to look at the project, because some of them require that you collect some data ahead of time, or get some help maybe from the librarians researching something. Okay, let's talk about your official class grade. We're almost done here, about 3 more slides to go. The official class grade for the course is the gradebook in the D2L course site. While there is a gradebook within the My Math Lab site, it only reflects the homework part of your grade. Okay, so keep that in mind. Adjustments, corrections, and updates to all grades can be made by a professor until they're reported to the Office of the Registrar of Georgia Highlands College. Please be aware of that, so that if if there's some error that's made in the grade, I reserve the right to correct that. If you find an error in your grades, please let me know right away. Okay, it's best to let me know right away so I can take a look at that right away. Don't say, oh, I'm going to just leave that to the end of the course. Okay, because in certain instances, like especially on the projects, when I return them, I usually will send an email to you saying the projects have been returned. You have a week if you have any discrepancies, because then I remember exactly what I did on that project. But if there should be a grade that you say, gosh, there's an error in my grade book, it should have been a 86 and it's a 68 where there's a grade, something obviously where there's a typo, then definitely let me know about that at any time. Okay, now again, the official grade book is in your D2L site. Something that you're going to see in the gradebook that's going to be a little bit different, I want to point it out here, is within, you're going to see the points from your My Math Lab reported. And what you'll see is you'll see the test and checkpoint points, and then you'll see the homework points that are reported separately. And so what you'll notice in the listing of this is that these points will vary. Like, for instance, in Unit 1 and the test and checkpoints, there's 8 going to be 8 points there. And then as you go through in Unit 2, there's different amount of points. In Unit 1, the homework, there's 40 points, and then you're going to see that in some of the other units there's 40 or 50 points. So it just depends on how many sections that you're doing in that particular unit. That's why your points will vary here as you look at the official gradebook. So just keep it in mind. And I update the My Math Lab grades. I pull them. As I'll say here in just a moment at the end of this, but grade feedback on tests and discussions and the grade reviews will be updated by the Tuesday of the following week when the test closes. So if the test closes on Friday, which typically I do, I'll have the grades updated by Tuesday. I give myself till afternoon on Tuesday, so if there should be a delay in that, I will let you know. On projects, you'll have feedback within about 36 hours about the need to do a redo. If you submit your project early and you want me to check it to give yourself extra time to possibly do a redo, just drop me an email. Just remind me that you submitted early. I try to stay on track with those that are submitted early, but sometimes just the way I've got my schedule set up, I got my schedule to look at things on certain days. So, but I will be glad to look at that early if you submitted early, and and that way if you need to do a redo, you'll have a little more time. But again, still, if you submit a redo, even though it's before the official first day, any redos are considered redos. Okay. The grade 1 week after the redo date, that's when I'll have the grade on the projects. Okay. So just be patient with me. I take what you do very seriously. I want to read it all. I want to give you full credit for the good work you'll do. And so just give me some time with 25 people in the class to read through all the projects. The My Math Lab grades will be transferred to D2L Gradebook within 5 days after the test over that unit. So, the test closed on Friday. That's usually by the next Wednesday. I usually try to do that also, like I said, the test grades are by Tuesday and discussion grades. So I try to do it all about the same time, and sometimes I may need an extra day to get the My Math grades to pull them over because occasionally I do have to review those. Somebody has a question about, well, gosh, that doesn't seem like it graded right, and so that way it gives me a chance to look at the homeworks. I do look at the homeworks anyhow. I do try to go through and kind of spot check different problems that you're working on and things. So I might not necessarily look up at the whole thing every time, but I do try to keep up in the My Math Lab and see how you're doing your homework. Okay, this is the end of part 3. So go ahead and take a break and go to part 4 of the orientation, which is going to be a little shorter. It just covers the My Math Lab site, which has a little bit less content in it than the D2L site.